Big sister was raised by her father at the frontier and is a skilled warrior. As for me, I followed my mom and played the green tea role to perfection at my maternal grandparents' house in Jiangnan. In a past life, the eldest sister was betrothed to the crown prince, but was framed and killed. His father stormed into the eastern palace to demand justice, only to be falsely accused of treason. The entire family was led to the guillotine together. After I was reborn, I arrived in the capital early. When I saw my older sister, I put on a high-pitched voice and said, "Big sis, your irresistibly adorable little sister is here." The older sister's eyebrows and eyes twitched, and she struggled to keep from throwing up. Later, after a lot of effort, I managed to seduce the crown prince and snatched the position of crown princess. But we discovered that the royal family had been putting up with us for a long time. But I've put up with the royal family for a long time, too. Main text. On the day my older sister arrived in Beijing, I wore a pale green long dress. The sheer fabric billowed in the wind, creating just the right curve. Perfect. At the city gate, a maidservant named Dianzhu held up a parasol, while a young servant named Jiangnan brought over an armchair. I also have some delicious pastries on hand to enjoy whenever I like. Second young lady. Look, is that the first young lady? I followed Dianzhu's gaze. Dressed in a long, drab gray dress, her hair tied back, the older sister leaped nimbly down from the drab gray carriage. It kicked up a cloud of dust, causing me to frown without even realizing it. Immediately afterward, a middle-aged man with a full beard jumped down in the same position as her, glanced at the city gate, and burst into laughter. It really is the young lady. The young lady! Master! Dianzhu was so excited that she kept waving her hands. The two people over there looked over at him at the same time. His father was taken aback for a moment, and then his eyes bulged out of their sockets. "Zhao Jin? What are you doing here?" He strode over, his face a mixture of shock and joy. I smiled and bent my knees slightly. "Father, I'm here to pick you up." Father froze for a moment, the corner of his mouth twitching as if he were holding something back. The older sister behind him snorted coldly. "Stop being so melodramatic." I batted my innocent eyes and leaned in to link my arm through my older sister's. "Sis, your irresistibly adorable little sister is here. Aren't you happy? Doesn't big sister want to see me?" But I didn't even sleep in this morning just so I could come see you all. "Big sis, you're being so cold. Do you not like me? I'm so sad." My constant nagging had given her a headache, and she was massaging the bridge of her nose. But when she saw that I was about to cry, she hurriedly spoke, her voice sounding stiff. "I do like you. Okay. Stop crying." I knew Big Sis was the best. I stopped crying and smiled, leaning against her, and I could clearly see every muscle in her body tense up. I couldn't help but poke her on the arm. "Wow, those are some serious muscles, nothing like my delicate little hands." The scene of everyone gathering in front of the city gate naturally caught the eye of Crown Prince Shenshuzhu. Even though he tried to disguise himself, I recognized him at a glance. Shenshuzhu didn't show his face. He just kept his gaze fixed on me for a long time before turning and walking away. No more than 3 days after the elder sister returned to the capital, the emperor's imperial edict granting the marriage arrived, designating her as Shenshuzhu's principal consort. But Big Sister was used to living freely in the frontier regions, and she had a carefree, easygoing nature and didn't sweat the small stuff. On her wedding day, with her head covered by a bright red veil, she whispered to me that once she returned from the crown prince's mansion, she would take me horseback riding and out into the countryside. But in less than 3 months, my once vibrant older sister had become a corpse, carried out of the crown prince's mansion. Furious, Father grabbed his sword and stormed off to the eastern palace to demand justice. But he only knew how to lead troops into battle. He had no idea about the intricacies of the human heart. On a whim, our entire family was sent to the guillotine. Before I knew it, after being reborn, I arrived in Beijing a month early. He had the mansion cleaned, hired maids and housekeepers, and got a feel for the intricate web of power in the capital. Did I take the right turn? Father stood at the doorway, too afraid to go in, so he stepped back and took another look at the old sign. Dianzhu busy spoke up. It was all the second young lady. Upon learning that the master and the first young lady were returning to the capital, she realized that the mansion in the capital hadn't been lived in for many years. So she made a point of having it thoroughly cleaned inside and out in advance, saying she wanted the two of them to feel the warmth of home, just as I expected from a student I taught. Seeing my father looking at me with such emotion, I let a just right look of shyness cross my face. Son, you must have spent quite a bit of money, didn't you? I couldn't hold back my smile, and I just stared at him in a daze. Didn't you see my feelings? Did you only see the money? That's at least 10,000 taels, enough to buy a lot of coarse grains. Or we could use it to buy winter clothes instead. My older sister added. I glared at him, furious. Serves you right for not being able to outmaneuver anyone in the palace intrigues in your past life. I took a deep breath, gritted my teeth, and said with a forced smile, It's okay. I've got money. Dad's eyes grew even brighter, like two big light bulbs. I had a sudden flash of insight and felt a sense of foreboding, so I quickly turned around. In a little while, the maids and matrons will take father and my older sister to get changed. I'm going to rest now. Your courtyard is on the east side. To avoid my dad asking me for money the moment we met, I ran off as fast as I could. Of course, more importantly, I need to get to know my future brother-in-law better. I'm the only one who can be the crown princess. About half a month ago, I met the crown prince for the first time. He paid a fortune for the tip-off and had people stage a scene where he was passing by. It's a classic knight in shining armor scenario, and I'm the damsel in distress. As for the hero, it's naturally Shinshoju. I was determined to express my gratitude, so I immediately produced a silver note for 10,000 taels. Although Shinshoju was the crown prince, his eyes still widened when he saw the amount on the banknote. He immediately became much friendlier toward me. Clutching the banknote in my hand, I looked at him with a coy smile. We've hit it off right away. Young master, might I have the honor of inviting you to join me for a chat at the Gold and Silver Pavilion? Jiangnan Lu, true to its name. It's a place where gold and silver are piled high, has shockingly expensive drinks and meals. That whiff of money only piqued Shinshoju's curiosity even more. He witnessed what happened at the city gate this morning. I suppose he already knew I was the young lady from the general's residence before he arrived. An ordinary wealthy merchant and the legitimate daughter of a general's household are in completely different social classes. Do you know who I am, young lady? He asked that to test me, fearing I might be approaching him on purpose. As for me, what I'm best at is playing innocent. Who is it? He suddenly spoke up. Shinshoju. His gaze was fixed on me, as if determined to take in every expression on my face. That's ridiculous. I'm the ultimate green tea at my maternal grandparents' house. Acting is just second nature to me. So, at first I was taken aback. Then I complimented him on his beautiful name, followed by a frown and a look of confusion, and then shock. When they arrived here, the suspicion in Shinshoju's eyes faded, and a confident smile played on the corners of his mouth. That's right. It's exactly what you're thinking. I shuddered and fell to my knees in fear. He hurriedly helped me up, but his hand remained on my arm the whole time. Thug. I had no idea you were General Lin's second daughter. He looked me over, his gaze intense. I blushed and quickly looked down. Having lived in Jiangnan since childhood, it's only natural that your highness hasn't seen it. The Jiangnan region is a land of plenty. Why have you suddenly returned, young lady? He reluctantly moved his hand away. My eyes welled up with tears, and I looked at him through tear-filled eyes. I heard that my older sister and father are both going back to the capital, so I thought I'd come back first to help them tidy up the house. Oh, but doesn't it seem like the general and his wife don't get along very well? Every word and every sentence is an attempt to pry. A tear rolled down my cheek. Shinshoju was taken aback and quickly apologized. As I wiped the tears from my eyes, I sighed. It's not your highness's fault. This isn't exactly a secret, so it's only natural that your highness would be curious. My family, well, actually, I came here without telling my mother. If she found out, she'd definitely be upset. My family is so dysfunctional, I thought. Shinshoju couldn't hide the smile in his eyes. Yet he was trying to feign sympathy for me. It must have been hard for him. As he was leaving, he asked me, "Do you know why His Majesty summoned your father and older sister back?" With a sincere look on my face, I asked, "Isn't this a performance review?" Shinshozhu shook his head, but didn't say much. He just had someone take me home. "Miss, please go home for now and wait for news." As he was leaving, he put on an air of profundity and gave me a meaningful look. "I know, it's all taken care of." Soon, the imperial edict arranging the marriage arrived. I ended up being chosen as the crown princess. TSK, just as I thought. Shinshozhu needs money. Since I'm also the legitimate daughter of a general's household, marrying me would be more beneficial than marrying my older sister. What's more, he thought I was innocent and kind-hearted, and seemed to think I'd be easier to manipulate than my older sister. As soon as the imperial edict was issued, I instantly became known to everyone. One of them was Fang Qiqi, the legitimate daughter of the Ho family. I'd already found that out, Shinshozhu's childhood sweetheart. When the elder sister passed away in her previous life, she was the only concubine in Shinshozhu's inner quarters besides the elder sister. The death of my older sister in my past life was almost certainly related to her. Before I could even take a sip of tea, Dianzhu slipped a pill into my hand. After eating, I drank some tea while Fang Qiqi looked on expectantly. Immediately afterward, he made up an excuse to go outside, and a maidservant came forward to greet him. "Take me to a side room. Please go inside and rest. Mississippi. I'll go get your clothes right away." She turned and walked away. I let out a cold laugh and hid behind a window. Just then, someone pushed open the door and walked in. "Sweetie?" A sleazy voice drifted out from inside the room. "Where's the person? You little Fang Qiqi. How dare you lie to me?" The man stormed out, only to run into Fang Qiqi and her group, which included Shinshozhu, as they were coming that way. Silence. Endless silence. True to her status as the legitimate daughter of the Marquis's household, Fang Qiqi showed only a momentary flicker of panic in the face of such a situation, then drew on her resolve to play her part. "Third cousin, what are you doing here? I just heard that Miss Lin too wasn't feeling well, so I came here to rest a bit. As for you two, did you guys plan this? It's just a shame that this trick is really nothing to write home about. The young ladies and gentlemen of prominent families, aren't they all shrewd and cunning? Honed in the inner courtyards?" Everyone had long since adopted an expression that suggested they knew the truth but weren't going to say anything. Even my older sister could tell she was doing it on purpose to frame me. "You brought everyone over here. You weren't doing that on purpose. Were you? You're trying to frame Zhao Jin." There was already a hint of murderous intent in the older sister's voice. And Fang Qiqi, frightened, quickly hid behind Shinshozhu. "I didn't. I'm just worried about her. Don't make false accusations." Shinshozhu stretched out his arm to shield Fang Qiqi and said calmly, "Let's go look for her. The second young lady can't just disappear." Her tone was matter of fact. "The crown prince has no feelings for me. He married me only to gain the power of the general's household and the wealth of my maternal family. Fang Qiqi is the one who truly holds a special place in his heart." "All right. I get it, the dog prince has a special someone." When I strolled back to my residence at a leisurely pace, I saw my older sister leaning against the gate of my courtyard with her arms crossed. Dianzhu and Dianjiang hurried forward to greet them. "Once the eldest daughter arrives, she refuses to leave. She won't give up until she sees the second daughter." He wouldn't go inside for tea. He insisted on waiting at the door. Before I knew it, my older sister was already standing right in front of me. "Where have you been? Did anyone hurt you?" I froze for a moment, blinking. "No way. Don't you know, sis, that I'm the most heartless one of them all?" I spoke in a soft, sweet voice, and my older sister's expression suddenly froze. "When we were kids, before our parents were living apart, one in the south and one in the north, whenever we did something wrong, my older sister always took the blame. Later, she asked me why that happened. I laughed and said, because I've already thought of what to say before I do anything. At that time, my older sister called me heartless and refused to go out with me anymore. Hearing those words from their childhood arguments again, so familiar yet so unfamiliar, even Big Sister was momentarily dazed. But if it weren't for the royal family's suspicion, how could my family have fallen apart like this? I heard from father that the emperor had originally chosen me. Why did you do this? Of course. It's for Big Sister. How can you thank me? I snapped back to my senses and looked at her with interest. My older sister seemed a little taken aback. I pouted. I married the man you didn't want me to marry so you could return to the frontier. Aren't you going to show me any appreciation? How do you want to thank me? Just say. Zhao Jin is the cutest little sister in the world. Say it 3 times, loudly. Her expression visibly darkened. What? Don't you want to? Big sister? Don't you love me anymore? I was on the verge of tears. I hadn't even had a chance to use my powers when my older sister's voice rang out. Zhao Jin is the cutest little sister in the world. Zhao Jin is the cutest little sister in the world. Zhao Jin is the cutest little sister in the world. After saying that, she walked away without looking back. Her face flushed. Dian Zhu, standing nearby, couldn't help but exclaim, "Miss, aren't you being a little too brazen?" I like it. I hummed a tune as I walked out into the yard. I was in a good mood today. But my good mood was interrupted. Qin Xiuzhu has arrived. Why did you just leave out of the blue today? You really scared me. His eyes were filled with deep affection and tenderness. I fought back the nausea and forced a look of emotion onto my face. Your Highness cares about me? Zhao Jin is deeply moved. I really took a wrong turn today and ended up going the long way around. So I might as well just head straight back. I'm just glad you're okay. I just came to check on you. He sat there for quite a while, rambling on about this and that, before finally getting to the point. Your parents, the general and the general's wife, did they get a divorce? I shook my head. No. Father refuses to grant me a divorce. Every year in the fall and winter, he makes a personal trip to my maternal grandparents' home to ask mother for money. General, what's this? Qin Xiuzhu put on a puzzled expression. My mother says this is called begging for handouts. He always manages to get either the soldiers' winter clothes or their provisions. Her mother hated him for acting this way, but since her father wouldn't fight back or talk back at that moment, there was nothing she could do. As I spoke, I looked over at him again. Why is the silver and money the court gives us every year never enough? Either the grain is mixed with pebbles, or the cotton clothes are too thin. If my older sister hadn't been taken away by Dad, Mom wouldn't have refused to give me money. She was just worried she'd have a hard time. The implication is that since the Lin family fought this battle for you, the money will be deducted from my mother's share. Then what's the point of having a royal family? Qin Xiuzhu felt embarrassed and pretended to cough twice. It was all given to him. Perhaps General Lin felt it wasn't enough. As he spoke, he asked me whether I would leave for my wedding from the general's mansion or from my maternal grandparents' home. That's a very clever question. Actually, they just wanted to find out where my dowry came from. Since I'm getting married from the general's mansion, both my maternal grandmother and my mother are going to give me a dowry. I hear they're already taking inventory of everything, but it won't be finished for at least half a month. A look of deep thought flashed across Shinshushu's eyes, and he seemed to feel relieved. It wasn't until evening that he reluctantly left. Miss, do you think His Highness wouldn't know about these things? Dian Zhu couldn't help but speak up, her mind full of questions. I looked at the fresh nail polish on my hands and laughed out loud. He knows full well that he's testing me. The more my parents fight, the happier he'll be. But Mom and Dad can't completely cut ties, otherwise. With the imperial court running such a huge deficit every year, who's going to make up for it? A family of parasites, all they ever think about is scheming. It makes me so angry just thinking about it. It was so obvious that they had set my older sister up in her past life. Although father is rash, he is not foolish. He must have learned of something even more repulsive, which is why he lost his composure and stormed into the Eastern Palace armed. Qin Xiuzhu had it all figured out. But it wasn't until the day I married into the Eastern Palace that he realized my maternal grandmother and my mother had given me shops as part of my dowry. Jiangnan, Jianqing, Yangqing, Yuanqing. There are over 100 prime retail spaces in various locations. It covers all walks of life, from the larger businesses, such as jade and jewelry shops, to the smaller ones, such as cosmetics and silk shops. There's even a dedicated space for a tailor shop. All the land deeds could fit into a single jewel box. Yet they felt heavy in my hands. My father's general's mansion didn't have much in the way of savings to begin with. However, when the soldiers who had returned from the battlefield heard that General Lin was marrying off his daughter, they sent him all sorts of gifts. There were newly sewn clothes, handcrafted cabinets, and even spittoons that someone had prepared. There are so many items, each one exquisitely crafted, and all filled with heartfelt thoughtfulness. On the day of the wedding, the long street was packed with people. My older sister awkwardly handed me a piece of jade with two engraved on it. I stared at it for a long time. Are these two chickens fighting? The older sister froze, her face flushing with anger. She hurriedly reached out to grab it, but I was one step ahead of her and put it away. I like everything my older sister gives me, even if it's chicken. I like it. It's clearly two people, you can't see straight. I stood there frozen, then asked Dianju, who was standing next to me. She, too, stared at it for a long time. They sure do look like two birds. Anyway, no matter what, it doesn't look human. But since my older sister made it herself, I naturally keep it close to me. When she saw me do that, my older sister finally broke into a smile. Her little face was bright red, and she looked absolutely adorable. But I'll have to pretend I didn't see it. On our wedding night, Qinshuju was completely drunk. He cupped my face and smiled seductively. I'm happy to have married Zhao Jin. It is a blessing for me to marry your highness. After we each exchanged a few polite words, he lay down and fell asleep. I took off my hairpin and ring myself, then sat down on the edge of the bed. I really like you. You're so handsome. Actually, Father was afraid I'd suffer here after I got married. And Mother also said the Eastern Palace isn't like other places, but what can I do? I fell in love with you at first sight. I ramble on and on, like a young woman pouring out her heart, talking to thin air. Only after saying that did he fall asleep, feeling completely satisfied. The person beside me opened their eyes, fixed their gaze on my face, brushed a strand of hair from my ear, and then let out a sigh. Oh, I knew he was just pretending to be asleep. The first month of marriage, Qinshuju and I treated each other with mutual respect. He never failed to shower me with sweet words, and he went out of his way to take care of me. When he came home from court, he would bring me chestnut cakes from East Street, candied hawthorn on a stick from West Street, or wildflowers picked by the roadside. I happily accepted it, and my eyes welled up with tears of gratitude. Your Highness is so kind to me, I'm so touched. But even Dianju looks down on these things. Is this all the Crown Prince has to show for himself? You're even more stingy than my friends in the underworld. I took a bite of the chestnut cake with a smile and said softly, you have to understand, he's caught between me and Fang Qiqi, so it's pretty tough for him. Every day he has to buy two different things and be attentive to both of us. It's so exhausting. So far, Qinshuju hasn't been able to do anything about me. My dowry was either one of those shops far, far away that my maternal grandmother and mother had given me. I just need to check the books from time to time. Or it was something my father gave me, something completely worthless that only I can use. If I were to die in the Eastern Palace, the Crown Prince would lose everything. Of course, he's brought this up before, sighing and groaning from time to time in front of me. But I'm just a doting little wife, full of emotional support. Every day, I serve ginseng soup and act like an understanding daughter flower. Your Highness has a busy schedule. Drink plenty of soup to keep your strength up. He paused, then asked, aren't you curious about what's bothering me? Your Highness is the Crown Prince of a nation. Naturally, you are concerned with matters of state. Yes, the treasury is empty these days. I sigh. I offered some understanding words of comfort. With so many capable people in the court, they're sure to come up with a solution for your Highness. A 360-degree boomerang, it just can't hit me no matter what. If he had any self-respect at all, he wouldn't have explicitly asked me to chip in to support him. Shinshozhu seemed to realize that I wasn't as innocent and open-hearted as he had imagined, yet he didn't dare to press me too hard. The only thing to do was to drag out the wedding night, which was taking its sweet time. I had the Empress send someone to urge them on, and then I gave them a gentle hint, but I covered my face, overcome with shyness. I'm sure His Highness has his own plans. The Empress was stunned, her eyes wide with astonishment. She never imagined there was actually a woman in the world who wasn't in a hurry. After a long while, he said quietly, "Maybe I've been so worried about money lately that I just don't have the heart for it anymore." I blinked my innocent eyes. "It's all right. I'll wait until your highness is in the mood." The Empress didn't want to speak with me any longer, so she waved her hand to dismiss me. I bowed respectfully, and as soon as I turned away, the smile vanished from my face. "Miss, if you don't consummate the marriage, you won't be able to get pregnant. Why don't we just pay you, consider it a purchase?" Dianzhu glanced at my stomach, and I let out a cold laugh. "It won't be long. He needs to realize how hard one it is. Only when hope springs from disappointment can it truly be a surprise." "I heard there are guests at the mansion today. Let's go back and show His Highness some attention." There were quite a few people in the study, but it was as if I hadn't noticed them at all. My eyes were fixed solely on Shinshozhu. She walked briskly over to his side. "Is your highness short on money?" "I have some. How much do you need?" No sooner had the question been asked than a collective gasp filled the air. Everyone looked down at the ground almost simultaneously, yet pricked up their ears to listen. Shinshozhu's expression suddenly darkened, and a flash of murderous intent crossed his face. I spoke gently and tenderly. "I, too, wish to help ease your highness's burdens. I can sell some of the dowry my mother gave me, and then—" "No, thanks." He said it in a cold, hard tone, then added, "Princess consort, please go and rest." "Is your highness upset? You usually call me Zhao Jin. Why are you being so formal today?" I was on the verge of tears, while he, with a stern expression, fought back his anger as he walked me to the door. "No, I'm just really busy with work." I left with a heavy heart, turned around, wiped away my tears, and let a small smile play at the corners of my mouth. After my little scene, he became even more unsure whether I was really stupid or just pretending to be, and he grew increasingly wary of me. "But I earn 100,000 a day, and I mention it to him every now and then. What good is all this money to me? I don't even need it. But luckily, the people mother sent are trustworthy, so I'll just stay with them for now." Shinshozhu's expression grew even more complex. He's in desperate need of money right now, and his desire to get his hands on my money is growing more and more urgent. He's like an ant on a hot pan. That day, he solemnly entrusted the household duties to me. "Since you're the crown princess, these matters should be your responsibility." I was taken aback for a moment, but then I took it with a smile. "Thank you, Your Highness. I will certainly not fail to fulfill the trust you have placed in me." But when the warehouse doors opened, I was completely taken aback. It was completely empty inside, containing only some shabby jewelry and fabrics, along with a few scattered pieces of gold and silver. Even Dianzhu's personal savings are more than what's here. That's really ruthless. The steward standing nearby couldn't help but explain. "The emperor has been undertaking major construction projects these past few years, and the crown prince's palace has already contributed everything it could. There's simply nothing more we can do. But you can tell at a glance that someone has cleared it out." As he spoke, the steward hung his head again with a look of distress. If the crown princess could find a way to solve this problem and ease His Highness's concerns, he would certainly be very pleased. He was practically about to hold out his hand and ask me for money. I let out a cold chuckle deep inside, but my face showed nothing but surprise and delight. "Are you saying that if His Highness is in a good mood, he'll spend his wedding night with me?" The steward furrowed his brow and fell to his knees with a thud. This humble servant would not dare to speak out of turn. I let out a slightly disappointed "oh," told Dianzhu to take the ledger, and returned to my courtyard. He looked completely uninterested. That evening, Shinshozhu came to my room. He wrapped his arms around me with deep affection. "Zhao Jin, you really do drive me crazy. I smiled shyly. What are you talking about, Your Highness? I don't understand. Is it her delicate, alluring appearance that makes your heart flutter and drives you wild? Or is it the fact that she knows you want money but keeps misinterpreting your intentions, leaving you unable to speak up and driving you wild? He pressed his lips against mine and pinned me beneath him. For our wedding night, which was over a month late, I fought back my nausea and did my best to act as if he were wonderful. Until he confidently ordered some water. I was sprawled on the bed, wrapped in a blanket. It was the first time I realized that acting is actually pretty tiring. After he left, a maid brought in the medicinal soup. This is the fertility soup His Highness has bestowed upon you. Drinking it will make it easier to conceive, to lie through one's teeth. I didn't let it show, but when I had Dianzhu bring it over, my eyes lit up with excitement. His Highness is so kind to me. I love him so much. After saying that, he drank the herbal decoction right in front of her. The maid visibly let out a sigh of relief. But after she left, I took one of the pills Shizhu had brought me. Why did you actually have to drink it? Dianzhu couldn't help but try to talk me out of it, and I sighed. He was able to fight his way to the position of crown prince among so many princes. He's no fool. It's best if he can't see through me. After that, whenever there were any matters involving social obligations, I would have the items shipped from the store in the south. I definitely won't restock the warehouse for Jifei, nor will I pay them, but I was considerate enough to provide some items anyway. Rare sheet music, paintings by renowned artists, antique porcelain, ancient pipas. Play to their interests and deliver it to the people he wants to win over. I noticed that the way he looked at me had become much gentler, and he would stay over at my place from time to time. Dianzhu has remarked more than once. For the crown prince himself to actually be out selling things, it just goes to show how broke he really is. You have to let him reap some benefits so he'll work harder, right? But I'm a bit petty and nitpicky. I don't like doing good deeds without getting credit for them. At a princess's birthday banquet, I presented 10 bolts of shoe brocade all at once. The princess couldn't put it down. Thank you for your thoughtfulness, sister-in-law. I blinked innocently and said, as long as the princess likes it. A noblewoman standing nearby couldn't help but speak up. This is from the brocade pavilion in Jiangnan, isn't it? I nodded shyly. Well, there's nothing special about managing the household. But fortunately, Mother gave me a shop when I got married. At those words, the princess's hand snapped back as if she'd been electrocuted. Everyone's expressions became complex and inscrutable. It didn't take long for everyone to realize that all the gifts I'd been giving out recently were from my maternal grandparents' shop, that is, chosen from my own dowry. There's nothing I can do about it. My mother only gave me the most renowned shops, and I only gave top-quality items as gifts. Anyone with even a little bit of common sense can tell. As the prestigious crown prince's palace, it was a source of embarrassment for Shinshiju that they had to rely on the crown princess's dowry to maintain social ties. It was no longer appropriate to keep playing dumb. So he spoke up, putting on an act. Have all the recent expenses been paid out of your dowry? I quickly nodded. I saw that your household was running low on provisions, so I thought I'd bring some from home. It's all right, what's mine belongs to His Highness. He paused, his expression a mixture of emotions. I quickly looked down again. Did I do something wrong? Your Highness, please rest assured, I'll be sure to keep things clearly separated from now on. His expression grew even more grim. Since Shinshiju couldn't find any fault with me, he had no choice but to swallow his disgust. From then on, whenever gifts were to be sent as a gesture of goodwill, he paid for them entirely out of his own private funds. Since I couldn't help him win people over, he's been cold toward me again. Later, he took a concubine, and it was indeed Fang Qiqi. Unlike me, on the night Fang Qiqi was brought into the family, Shinshiju asked for water 5 times. Early the next morning, she used her poor health as an excuse and did not come to pay her respects. I didn't think much of it. It's not like I haven't been through this before. Performing 5 times in one night is pretty exhausting. Fortunately, Father and my older sister have finished their official reports and are about to set off for the frontier. Once they reach the north, that's their world, a place where they can spread their wings and soar. Beijing is the perfect place for someone like me. I went to the city gate, full of joy to see him off. I don't think the crown prince is truly in love with you. My older sister suddenly pulled me aside, looking very serious. Did she actually figure it out? I stood there frozen, and suddenly felt a stinging sensation in my eyes. She forced herself to blink, smiled, and said, "I'm going to be the crown princess. What does it matter whether he likes me or not? Besides, my son is destined to become emperor one day." The older sister looked puzzled, then hurriedly said, "If you don't want to stay, just go with your older sister, she'll take you away." Her eyes were bright and full of sincerity. I took a deep breath and snuggled up against her. "Okay, I'll wait for big sister to come pick me up." She didn't say anything else. As I turned away, I quietly wiped away my tears. But my father happened to see it. He just patted me on the shoulder, his eyes filled with reluctance. Father understands. At least one member of the Lin family must always remain in the capital. It's either me or my older sister. Less than 3 months after father and my older sister left, news of a great victory came from the border. The enemy nation is no longer capable of continuing the war. For at least 5 years, the border will remain peaceful. But the unrest in the capital had only just begun. The emperor became increasingly absorbed in Buddhist practice and neglected the affairs of state. The various princes were eager to make their move, and the crown prince's position was far from secure. Shinshoju wrote a letter home in my name, saying that I was seriously ill and asking father to return to the capital as soon as possible. But the Lin family has always used a special code in our letters. How could he possibly know it? It was also around this time that Dianzhu discovered an ingredient in my daily meals that caused me to lose my senses. I played along with Shinshoju and Fang Qiqi, making myself look both crazy and innocent. "Cousin, I told you all along, Lin Zhaojin is as dumb as a pig. How could he possibly have figured it out? Once she's dead and the Lin family is framed, won't everything the Lin family owns belong to my cousin then?" Fang Qiqi's voice drifted through the crack in the door. I silently pulled my foot back and hurried back into the room. "It really is them." Dianzhu gently pried my fingers apart. My palm was already covered in bloody marks from where I'd been pinching it. "Her Majesty has long been prepared. None of this will happen." "No, these things happened in a past life. He took the stage. She was pampered like a flower. A pair of scoundrels, watching as the Lin family's heads litter the ground." "Miss." Dianzhu suddenly snapped me back to reality. I stared at her in a daze and noticed that her hand was resting on my pulse, her eyebrows quivering with excitement. When he saw me looking his way, Dianzhu nodded. "It worked." I placed my hand on my stomach, and a smile played on my lips. The day has finally arrived. I picked up my pen and wrote letters, sending them to the frontier and to Jiangnan, respectively. "Your Highness, the secondary consort has arrived." Before I could say a word, I saw Fang Qiqi, with her hand on her waist and a radiant smile on her face, walking inside. She's only 3 months pregnant, but she looks as if she's already 5 months along. When she saw me, Fang Qiqi flashed a defiant, menacing grin. I'd like to start by saying that Fang Qiqi's father met with the crown prince a few days ago, and I suspect they must have reached some kind of agreement. With someone to rely on and being pregnant, she began to act arrogantly. "This place will be my turf very soon. Who do you think you are, daring to covet the position of crown princess?" She took a few steps toward me, gripped my chin tightly, and slapped me across the face. I let out a cold laugh. "Thank you for giving me an excuse." I shoved her to the ground with all my might. Fang Qiqi hadn't expected me to push her right in front of everyone. Her face had gone deathly pale, and there was already a pool of blood on the ground. "Ah, doctor, call the doctor." The crown prince's mansion was in chaos, and as she glared at me with a face full of resentment and hatred, I tilted my head and smiled gently. Fang Qiqi had a miscarriage. I've been falsely accused of harming the imperial grandson. Shinshoju was so furious that he grabbed me by the neck, his face icy with rage. "Do you know what you're doing?" I smiled sadly, my eyes brimming with tears. "Your Highness doesn't love me, does he?" He conveyed despair through his silence, his whole body trembling uncontrollably. I was so foolish to think that the crown prince truly loved me. In the end, I placed my trust in the wrong person. What I thought was love at first sight turned out to be nothing but a joke. I was crying and laughing, acting like a complete madwoman. A flicker of emotion finally crossed his eyes. He let go, his face contorted with pain. The Fong family has been of great help to me. Just the other day, Master Fong handed over his business to me. Even at a time like this, he's still hinting that he wants me to give him more. Great. I'll throw it, we'll see if he can catch it. I looked at him with tears in my eyes. But the Fong family's profitable businesses are all run by their illegitimate daughter, and she's already married to the third prince. His expression changed suddenly, and he looked at me in disbelief. Chen Xiuzhu looked into it and found that it was indeed true. How dare he lie to me? I was standing at the end of the hallway when I heard angry shouts coming from the study, and I couldn't help but laugh out loud. That illegitimate daughter was managing the shop on my behalf. Magistrate Fong had absolutely no idea. But so what? Chen Xiuzhu wouldn't dream of confronting him about it. He just felt betrayed. Even though I harmed the imperial grandson, I was only placed under house arrest. I heard that the crown prince intervened on my behalf, which is why I wasn't sent to prison. But the empress was very dissatisfied. She couldn't wait to replace the crown princess. Within the capital, she was wealthy and powerful, the full sister of the commander of the imperial guard. On the day she was demoted to the rank of secondary concubine, Fong Qiqi, despite her illness, still made a point of coming here to watch the play. Unfortunately, she happened to see me lying in Chen Xiuzhu's arms, crying my eyes out. Chen Xiuzhu looked even more heartbroken. It's just a temporary solution, don't be sad. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Fong Qiqi take a half step back in disbelief, her face etched with despair. I know that when she married into the crown prince's household as a secondary consort, Chen Xiuzhu told her the same thing. The crown prince, where would he get such sincerity? Back when I was a money-hungry businesswoman, the most he'd let me be was a concubine, and I was expected to obediently hand over my wealth. If I were the legitimate daughter of a general's household and had wealth, then I would be worthy of becoming the crown princess. But when being the crown princess can no longer bring him any benefits, she must step down from that position. When the new woman arrived at the house, Fong Qiqi, who was suffering from illness, was overcome with despair. Miss Fong is still bleeding heavily down there. She didn't follow the postpartum recovery period properly. Dianzhu brought news from her end. It was about time, so I went to see her out of kindness and brought her some excellent tonics. But she brushed them all aside with a wave of her hand, her eyes fixed intently on me. What do you have to be so smug about? It's been almost a year since you entered the Eastern Palace, and I haven't seen any signs of a baby yet. I smiled. You've certainly made some noise, and quite a lot of it, too. Lin Zhaojin. She gritted her teeth and her eyes bulged with fury. I suddenly recalled my past life. When the entire Lin family was kneeling on the guillotine, she was at the height of her glory, just taking her elder sister's place to become the new crown princess. But in this lifetime, Chen Xiuzhu has found a better partner, so her Fong family can forget about making it to the top. Not ready to give up? I lowered my gaze to the tea in my cup and laughed out loud. Then tell your father to work harder so you'll be worth more. It's a pity, though, since your half-sister married the third prince. As far as the crown prince is concerned, your Fong family is no longer pure. Not at all. I've known Brother Xiuzhu since we were kids. You have absolutely no idea what our bond is like. But there was a clear hint of guilt in her voice. No matter how loudly she shouted, it was to no avail. Do you know where your half-sister's wealth comes from? I gave it to her. I leaned close to her ear and asked and answered my own question. If the crown prince has no rivals, why would he feel anxious? Her pupils suddenly contracted, and she stared at me in disbelief. How dare you? How dare you betray the crown prince? Aren't you afraid I'll tell him? Do you think I'd give you a chance? After I finished speaking, I reached for the dagger lying beside her hand, snatched it from her before she could react, and plunged it straight into her chest. As she looked on in shock, I smiled gently. I guess you prepared this for me, but unfortunately, you're still a little too weak. As I spoke, I gave a sudden, forceful thrust and felt her body tremble. My hands also became sticky. The smell of blood is so strong, but it's definitely not as much as the blood my older sister shed when she died in her past life. When Shinshu came to see me, I was pale as a sheet and looked completely dazed. Yet his gaze remained terrifyingly cold, and the veins on his forehead bulged. Do you know what you've done? I know. My voice caught in my throat, and I nodded. He turned his head. On the table lay a tall stack of silver notes. Each note was worth 10,000 taels. There were a full 10 million taels, a truly spectacular sight when stacked up. What are you doing? Shinshu furrowed his brow and spoke with a look of suspicion. Tears welled up in my eyes, and I felt a deep sense of sorrow. She said you two were childhood friends, and that you'd avenge her by killing me. I went there to apologize. I told her I knew I was wrong, but she didn't believe me. She wanted to kill me with her own hands. I didn't mean to do it, but you can't put people's lives at risk. Shinshu sat off to the side, looking at me with a scowl, her gaze full of scrutiny. I nodded. I know. That's why, before I die, I'm leaving these for your highness. His intimidating gaze was still fixed on me. Shinshu wasn't that easy to fool. I spoke listlessly. If I die, the dowry should be returned, but I would like to give this surplus to your highness. This is the only thing I can do for your highness. By the time I finished saying all that, I was in tears. With a hesitant, reluctant gaze, Shinshu froze, then glanced again at the silver note lying beside him. That's way too many. It's even comparable to half the national treasury. Over the years, the emperor has commissioned the construction of 480 temples, each with its own distinct style and all majestic and grand, a project that has long since drained the national treasury. Shinshu hadn't seen that much money in a long time. He stared at me intently for a long time, but in the end, he just let out a long sigh. Why are you giving me these now? With tears in my eyes, I said, I'd already prepared it for you, but I hadn't quite gathered enough at the time. So that's why. I never gave it to you. You. He was completely taken aback, and his dark eyes darted around. I continued, I've looked over the accounts, there isn't much money left. Since using goods from the shop previously caused His Highness to be ridiculed by the whole world, I came up with this plan. The managers of the Lin family shops are all loyal to the Lin family. I pushed them to make money at any cost, and thankfully, we managed to round it up to a whole number. Shinshu's expression was full of emotion, but he quickly made up his mind. Keep me around, let me be his cash cow. Once everyone else in the Lin family is dead, only I, the fool, will be left alive to make money for him. You're so stupid. When he looked at me with such tenderness, I knew I'd made the right bet. Fong Chi-Chi, I wonder if you'll be able to die with peace of mind. Shinshu kept Fong Chi-Chi's death under wraps, announcing to the public that she had died of illness. But the Ku family isn't stupid, with several large holes in his body. How could he possibly have died of an illness? I lived a carefree life in the Eastern Palace, free from the law, and was even greatly favored. Fong has been so popular that he's gone against Shinshu several times in the main hall. But what wrong could the crown prince possibly have done? He was merely choosing what was in his best interest. If the Fong family won't work, there's always the Li family. The money I gave him was enough for him to recruit troops, bribe more officials, and even corrupt military commanders. Just as the emperor was once again considering replacing the crown prince rebelled. Working in cahoots with the empress, he surrounded the palace so tightly that not even a drop of water could get through. Zhao Jin, I've done it! His face was lit up with ecstasy, and his expression became somewhat distorted. I smiled, and tears welled up in my eyes. I knew your highness would succeed. He held me tightly in his arms, and his chin brushed against the crook of my neck. Have your father and older sister come back. We still need their help here. Now that the coup has succeeded, what can the two generals do once they return? Perhaps the only thing I can do is stake my life on it. Force them to submit, and then kill them. They're back. I smiled. The person holding me suddenly froze. He furrowed his brow, looking cautious. When did you get back? I tilted my head to one side and smiled innocently. Immediately afterward, the dagger hidden in his sleeve was thrust into his abdomen, vigorously, with all his might. Shinshoju's expression changed abruptly, and he looked down in disbelief. How dare you? He suddenly shoved me away, and I slammed my lower back into the table, wincing in pain, but it actually felt refreshing. Why wouldn't I dare? Since your highness has dared to rebel, my Lin family must, of course, come to the emperor's aid. It's a pity, though, you've killed your father and your brother. The Shin family has no heirs left. Oh, wait, there's one more in my belly. He stared at my stomach in disbelief, frantically trying to rush forward, but was kicked aside by Jiang. No, that's impossible. How could you possibly be pregnant? I ran my hand over my stomach. I forgot to introduce them. Dianzhu is a master healer, and Jiang is an assassin. Having traveled all the way from Jiangnan to the capital, how could I possibly have come without making any preparations? The poison Shinshoju had someone slip into my drink had long been neutralized by the point pearl. But he really doesn't touch me very often, so I've been waiting quite a while for this day. Later on, I just decided not to wait anymore. Isn't it easy to find a man? The enemy nation has been thoroughly defeated, which is a perfect opportunity for the crown prince and for our Lin family as well. Father is a soft-hearted man. He does not want the people to suffer, nor does he want internal strife to give enemy nations an opportunity to take advantage of the situation. Then I'll give them time to become eagles soaring over the borderlands, striking fear into the hearts of enemy nations so they dare not invade. How could that be? General Lin wouldn't do that. The man on the ground was turning pale, yet he was still making a last-ditch effort to struggle. I snorted derisively. That's true, but you royals have really gone too far. You spend the Lin family's money, make members of the Lin family lead troops into battle, and even force a daughter of the Lin family to marry you, leaving her at your mercy. Even a cornered rabbit will bite, especially when father thought of everything his eldest sister had gone through in her past life. How could he not feel hatred? In her previous life, the elder sister was in excellent health. Even with the contraceptive decoction, she still became pregnant. But Shinshoju let Fang Qiqi cut open Ajie's abdomen and remove the undeveloped fetus. Ajie died from excessive blood loss. When he died, the floor of the room was covered in blood. They brought the baby to daddy. That's why father lost his composure and rushed to the eastern palace with his sword, but they had already set up a tight trap, just waiting for the Lin family to walk right into it. At the same time, my maternal relatives in the south were all arrested, and their immense wealth flowed into the imperial treasury. They murdered and plundered, exploiting father and elder sister's trust, with no regard for the lives of hundreds of members of the Lin family. So what if we overthrew the royal family? You don't love me at all? Were you just pretending? Lin Zhaojin, you. His expression was one of anguish and sorrow, as if he were deeply distressed by a betrayal. But I found it funny. Love? Your Highness's love is coveting my money when I had neither power nor influence, and coveting both my money and power when I had them. When it benefits you, I am the crown princess. When it doesn't, I am merely a concubine. You even schemed to trick my family into their deaths. Your so-called love is quite terrifying. No. Before he could finish speaking, I ordered Jiang to deliver another blow. After pretending to be so deeply in love for so long, I'm tired of it. The shouts from outside were deafening. Covered in blood, the older sister walked in, holding a long spear, backlit by the light. She clearly let out a sigh of relief as her gaze swept over me. With tears in my eyes, I nodded, and we were a couple. Later, I ascended the throne while pregnant, with my older sister and my father standing on either side of me, shielding me in the middle. As I climbed onto the high platform and looked down at the crowd below, I felt remarkably calm. Dad and Mom were finally able to live like a normal married couple, and my maternal grandmother happily gave me all her wealth. My older sister smiled and said she wanted to go to the frontier to defend the country for me. Look, when we, the Lin family, sit on this high platform, There's no suspicion, no guardedness, and no separation among family members. How wonderful is that? I tugged at my older sister's sleeve and burst into tears again. When he was done, he nudged her. When are you leaving? The older sister's mouth twitched, and she turned and stormed off. Big sis, when are you going to bring a brother-in-law home? With a thud, she fell flat on the ground, then sprang back to her feet like a carp and quickly disappeared. A few years later, once the situation had stabilized, I changed my surname to Lin, and my children took the Lin surname as well. Big sister became a prince. With her around, no one dared to object. One day, I saw the little prince in the imperial garden, looking up at his older sister. Auntie, wah, don't you love Bauer anymore? Why won't you give me a hug? Big sister visibly stiffened and hurriedly pulled the person to her feet. Moo-ah! The little one quickly gave her a kiss on the cheek. Big sister's grip loosened, and the child nearly fell, but she caught him right away. One more time. Auntie, please. Just one more time. The little prince was laughing so hard in his older sister's arms that he started hiccuping. TSK. My older sister is still so gullible.